Morning people, welcome back to F Politics. Do you ever feel like our leaders are playing a rigged game, using people as chips?
I'll bet you £1,000 to a refugee charity you don't get anybody on those planes before the election. Will you take that bet?
Well, I want to get the people on the planes, right? Of course I want to get the people on the planes.
£1,000.
Right, I want to get the people on the planes.
This is a man who's currently passing a law to overrule the Supreme Court's declaration that that's unlawful to do. Doesn't feel like a fair bet. Now, of course, Downing Street will say they didn't mean to accept the offer, that Rishi Sunak never verbally agreed to it. But I want you to imagine that you are the Prime Minister for a second. Imagine that the highest court in the country has told you that sending refugees to Rwanda isn't safe because they might be sent back to the countries that they were fleeing. Not to mention the recent history of refugees being shot in Rwanda because they demanded to be fed properly. So you're well aware that putting people on planes to Rwanda might be effectively killing them. So if somebody offered you a bet on that topic, wouldn't your basic human decency make you reject it immediately? Like, would your instinct be to shake hands with the person who tried to get you to bet on the lives of the most desperate people on the planet? But it's actually worse than that, because Sunak's government is providing spy planes, naval support, political backing to a country that's committing genocide in Gaza, as well as ethnic cleansing. So they're partly responsible for almost 2 million people being internally displaced in Gaza, which will definitely create the new asylum crisis. And the previous Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, already admitted that the only way people like that can claim asylum in the UK is to enter without permission, which they're allowed to do under the Refugee Convention. So the policy of sending people to Rwanda to discourage others from entering the UK without permission will end up punishing people who are fleeing genocide. And Rishi Sunak's response to the offer to bet on that was to smile, nod, shake Piers Morgan's hand and say,
right, I want to get the people on the planes.
So again I ask, could you react like that, or would your core humanity make you react very differently? And Rishi Sunak can act like this on camera because he has nothing to fear. The Court of Appeal declared his Rwanda policy unlawful. He just appealed it. The Supreme Court declared his Rwanda policy unlawful. He passed a new law to declare that it's lawful. Even the UK's official law society had to step in and say he's damaging the rule of law. Basically, he's acting like a king who can do whatever he wants as if the laws don't apply to him. And to be fair, who can blame him? Because he became Prime Minister after being caught breaking the law during the pandemic. Then he got fined for breaking the law on camera as Prime Minister, and again, nothing happened. He had a green card for residency in the United States of America while he was the Chancellor in charge of the UK economy. The laws don't apply to him, so he has nothing to fear. And you might be thinking, but surely we're a democracy, so he must at least fear the voters. Sorry, why would he? Like, for starters, we're a two-party system, so all he has to do is find some scandal on Keir Starmer, make it stick, and he wins by default. But the truth is, he knows he's going to lose, so he has nothing to lose. He can do whatever he wants with our asylum policy, our economy, our NHS, while we're facing major crises in all three, and that will continue until we get a general election. Meanwhile, he bluntly admitted in the interview,
NHS waiting lists.
We have not made enough progress.
You failed on that pledge.
Yes.
Because you said NHS waiting lists will fall. In fact, they are slightly coming down now, but the waiting list is still nearly 500,000 more than it was at the start of last year.
Yeah.
You accept that?
Yes, and we all know the reasons for that. What I would say to people is, look, we've invested record amounts in the NHS, but industrial action has had an impact.
His party has consistently cut the pay of doctors and nurses for the last 13 years, to the point that now they're at breaking point and many of them are leaving. But he'd rather blame the doctors than pay them. But here's a thought. Maybe, if the Tories weren't so obsessed with spending hundreds of millions of pounds of our money punishing war victims who dare to ask for our help, that they're willing to take bets on camera, maybe the cost of living crisis in the NHS might be going a little better. I'm Femi. Make sure you follow F Politics so politics doesn't F you. Have a great week.